465 BCE, midnight shadows stretch across the marble courtyard of Persepolis, the most breathtaking palace ever carved from stone and gold. Torches flicker. A woman is dragged forward by guards whose faces are stone masks. Her wrists are bound with silk cords that bite into skin. She doesn't scream anymore. She's too exhausted, too terrified. The soldiers who watch, hardened veterans of 1,000 battles, look away. One of them later whispers to a friend, "I've seen men flayed alive. I've seen cities burn. But this made my stomach turn." Her crime? She looked the most powerful man alive in the eye and said one word, "No." But this isn't the end of the story. This is just the beginning of one night in a decades-long nightmare. A nightmare that turned the world's most magnificent palace into a gilded prison of fear, betrayal, and slow, deliberate cruelty. And the man who ruled it all? King Xerxes I, the one you think you know from the movies, the one who marched 1,000,000 men against Greece. Forget the legend. The real Xerxes was something far more terrifying. History gives us the safe version: Xerxes the warrior king, golden throne, immortal army, epic clashes at Thermopylae and Salamis. We love that story because it's clean, it's distant. But what if the bloodiest war of Xerxes' reign wasn't fought with spears and arrows? What if it was fought in silence, behind locked doors, in the flickering lamplight of the royal women's quarters? What if the greatest victims weren't Greek soldiers, but the women who shared his bed, his blood, his roof? Women who should have been the safest people in the empire, women who weren't. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will crawl under your skin and stay there. Ask yourself this, and answer honestly. What happens to a man when, for his entire life, no one ever says no? October 486 BCE, Persepolis. The throne room smells of incense and polished cedar. Xerxes, 36 years old, heavy with the weight of a crown that once belonged to his father, Darius the Great, steps onto the dais. From that moment, every human being who enters his presence must perform proskynesis. They fall flat, face to the cold stone, lips pressed to the floor he walks on. Turn your back to him? Death. Meet his gaze without permission? Death. Speak before he speaks to you? Death. Herodotus, the Greek who chronicled this world, wrote that even the highest nobles waited days, sometimes weeks, outside the throne room doors, with news that could save or doom provinces. They waited, because disturbing the god-king at the wrong moment meant your head would decorate a spike by sunrise. Xerxes didn't wake up one day believing he was divine. He was conditioned to believe it. His mother, Atassa, daughter of Cyrus the Great, had watched her own brothers tear each other apart for power. Poison in wine, knives in the dark, entire bloodlines erased in a single night. She taught her son the only lesson that mattered in that court: trust no one, control everything. Show weakness, and you die. She didn't raise a king, she forged a weapon. Now enter the Onderun, the royal women's quarters. Hollywood sells us a fantasy: endless pleasure, laughing concubines, a never-ending party. Reality was colder, sharper. Xerxes had one principal wife, Queen Amestris. She wasn't decoration, she was power incarnate. Vast estates, her own armed guard, audiences with foreign ambassadors, oversight of imperial building projects that spanned continents. But every ounce of that power hung by a thread. One whispered word from Xerxes, and it all evaporated. The Onderun housed the empire's most exalted women: Atassa, Amestris, Xerxes' sisters, daughters, the wives of his closest nobles. They wore robes woven with threads of real gold. They ate fruits carried by camel train from the edges of the known world. Hundreds of servants existed only to anticipate their smallest desire. And yet, massive cedar doors, iron-bound gates, high walls topped with spikes. No man could enter except the king himself and the eunuchs, boys castrated young so they could serve without threat. The women could stand at latticed windows and watch the city pulse below, hear laughter, music, life, but they could never step outside, never feel sunlight on their faces without guards shadowing every move. And the cruelest lie of all, this was presented as honor, as protection, as the highest privilege a woman could know. They were raised from childhood to believe the cage was a crown. For decades, the machine hummed perfectly. Persian royal inscriptions carved in stone proclaim only harmony, divine favor, endless prosperity. No cracks, no scandals, until the cracks appeared. After the humiliating retreat from Greece, Xerxes returned to Persepolis a changed man, ego shattered, paranoia blooming like black mold. And then he saw her, the wife of his own brother, Masistes, a woman whose name history didn't bother to preserve. Married, mother, living a life of careful dignity within the royal rules. Xerxes wanted her. He approached, whispered promises, offered the world. She looked him in the eye and said, "No." That single word echoed like a crack in marble. Most men, even most tyrants, would have punished and moved on. Xerxes didn't. Because in his mind, his desires weren't requests, they were cosmic law. Refusal wasn't personal, it was rebellion against the order of the universe. So he turned his gaze to her daughter, Artiante, his own niece, late teens, early 20s. She didn't say no. Whether from fear, manipulation, or something else, the affair began. To twist the knife deeper, Xerxes promised Artiante anything her heart desired, anything in the empire. Name it, it's yours. She asked for one thing, Queen Amestris's personal robe, woven by the queen's own hands, gold thread, royal purple dye worth more than kingdoms, unique in all the world, a walking symbol of Amestris's status. Xerxes knew exactly what he was handing over. He handed it anyway. When Amestris saw that robe draped over her husband's mistress, she understood instantly, and she began to plan. The king's birthday feast, hundreds of nobles, torches blazing, wine flowing. Persian custom, on this day, the king must grant any request made in public, no exceptions. Amestris steps forward, voice calm, eyes like obsidian. I ask for the wife of Masistes, delivered to me as my gift. The room freezes. Xerxes' face drains of color. He begs, offers cities, armies, rivers of gold. Amestris doesn't blink. The custom is sacred. He has no choice. The woman is handed over. What happens next is almost impossible to speak aloud. Amestris has her mutilated with surgical cruelty, breasts severed and thrown to the dogs, nose, ears, lips, tongue, all removed. Then the ruined woman is sent home to her husband, a living, breathing warning carved in flesh. Herodotus struggles to write the words. Even he, used to recording atrocities, can barely get them out. This wasn't just revenge, this was a declaration. In this palace, the queen's power is absolute. Anyone who becomes the object of the king's desire, even against her will be destroyed so completely that no one will ever forget. If your heart is pounding right now, if that just made your skin crawl, smash that like button immediately if you're still here with me. Drop a gasp or "This is insane" in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in feeling sick about this. And hit subscribe plus bell because the fallout is about to get even darker. Don't look away now. Masistes sees what's been done to his wife. Something inside him snaps. He raises troops, tries to rebel against his own brother. The rebellion is crushed in days. Masistes, his sons, his daughters, his entire bloodline, hunted down, executed, erased, all because one man's whim was treated as divine command. Was this a single horror or a window into the rot at the heart of the empire? After Greece, Xerxes withdrew. No more campaigns, no more travel. He retreated deeper into Persepolis, focused on building, on private pursuits. The court became a pressure cooker of suspicion. No one trusted anyone. Even his own sons grew up watching their father's paranoia metastasize. He became a prisoner of the walls he'd built. Walls meant to keep threats out that ended up trapping him inside. August 465 BCE. Midnight. Persepolis. Xerxes sleeps in his private chambers. The door opens. Artabanus, commander of the royal bodyguard, the man sworn to protect him, steps inside with a handful of conspirators. Knives flash in torchlight. The king of the world dies in his bed. But Artabanus isn't finished. He rushes to Xerxes' younger son, Artaxerxes, whispers a lie. Your older brother Darius murdered your father. Shows forged evidence, plays on grief, rage. Artaxerxes, blind with fury, executes his own brother. Only later does the truth claw its way out. Artabanus is hunted, torn apart. The king's bodyguard killed the king. A son killed his brother in the most heavily guarded palace on earth. That only happens when the entire system is poisoned. Xerxes died. The nightmare didn't. Artaxerxes inherited the throne, inherited the Underoon, inherited the machine, isolation, control, power games. Later kings even married their half-sisters to lock bloodlines tight. The pattern stretched on for generations until Alexander's flames finally consumed Persepolis. Countless women lived entire lives within those walls, never knowing another reality. And the most chilling truth? Many of them believed it was normal, believed it was honor, believed it was divine will. That's how perfect oppression works. The cage becomes so beautiful, you stop seeing the bars. Today, the ruins of Persepolis stand silent in the Iranian desert. Wind moves through broken columns. No screams echo anymore. But now you know what once filled those halls. Absolute power doesn't just corrupt, it devours, from the inside, slowly, inevitably. If this story just rewired your brain, like this video, share it with someone who thinks history is boring. They need to hear this. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more hidden, brutal truths from the past. Comment right now. Could Xerxes have escaped this cycle, or was he doomed the moment he took the throne? I read every comment. Let's talk about it. Thanks for going deep with me, legends. Stay curious and stay safe out there.